Age appropriate. If I had to pick one phrase to describe everything that's going on in this episode, it would be age appropriate. Hello, my wonderful viewers, and welcome to another episode of Betty Adams Overanalyzes. Today, we will be taking a fully spoilery look at Star Wars Skeleton Crew Season 1, Episode 4. This is, I would say it's the weakest of the 4 episodes so far. 1, 2, and 3 were just that good. This is not a bad episode, however. This is a good, solid episode. I enjoyed watching it. Fully recommend everybody to go see it. What I mean by it being age appropriate is that this takes a very classic Western science fiction, sci-fi Western story, and tones down the inherent violence, tones down the inherent sexuality until it is absolutely age appropriate for the target audience. That is PG, parental guidance suggested. So this is a TV PG level kids show, and they did it in such a way that when they toned the violence down, it did not steal the inherent entertainment value of the episode. Now, I'm going to be getting into that, but first, I want to tell you guys a story. The year 1987. Bitty Betty has, in a rare instance of expressing her own opinions, seen a commercial on television and asked her parents for the toy from the commercial. And this was a very rare occurrence. Not only was I not exposed to that many commercials, we were not the kind of family that bought brand new toys from Fisher-Price, especially not ones that were the hot itch toy of the year. But my parents looked at the toy and they decided, for one reason or another, that they were going to get me that silky puffalump. This was a line of stuffed animals with a synthetic silk skin. You could get a rabbit. There were actually 2 different elephants, but they got me the 87 blue elephant. It came with plastic sunglasses and a Hawaiian shirt. That thing was amazing for me. It had pink silk for its inner ears and then at the pads of its feet, and blue silk for the main part of its body, and each one had a slightly different texture. And then it had embroidered eyes that had another different texture when you rub them, and a different texture again when you rub them in between the skin. It had yarn, a little yarn hair, a tuft of fur, but the best part was the Fisher-Price tag on its leg was the softest and silkiest of all, and I would spend hours stimming on that thing, just rubbing it between my fingers. You can kind of tell what kind of kid I was. Why do I bring this up? Because that blue Fisher-Price toy elephant, there's a striking resemblance to the character Neil. All this to say, I've got a soft spot for Neil, and that may be coloring my perception of this episode, so take it for what it's worth. Now, I'm going to get into the spoilers. If you don't want them, you can go check out the links below the video to get yourself a copy of my book, Humans Are Weird, I Have the Data, Short, Absurd Science Fiction Stories, What Will Our Little Green Friends Think of Us Once the Glamour of First Contact Wears Off. Now, let's talk about alien contact. The kids think that they found their homeworld. They think that they found Alatan. At first, one of those little red flags went off my brain. It's too early in the series for them to find their way to their homeworld, but it looks right from space, the houses look right, and so they land only to find everything destroyed. This was a good bit of writing, because the data they got from the owl librarian lady was very hastily got. There's no reason to assume that data that sketchy would be 100% accurate, and it wasn't. Their first attempt to get home fails. Meanwhile, Jod is rifling through their possessions back on the ship, trying to find something of value, and he has a funny little interaction with SM-33, where Jod's hubris just bites him in the back. And the writers worked in this really funny note where when the consequences come, he just goes into a just shoot me now moment, which felt very visceral if you've ever hoisted yourself in your own petard. But at the beginning of this, I said that this was a very specific sci-fi Western episode, and it is. You've seen it before in Star Trek, you've seen it in Babylon 5 probably. Pretty much any serialized science fiction show has one of these. And it's where the person from the highly advanced civilization lands in a tribalistic society and has to make sense of the cultural dynamic between these two warring tribes. In this instance, it's the very meek and mild Neil from what we would call a very first world civilization, where, as he says, he never has to fight for anything, trying to make sense of this tribal civilization that he's been thrust into, where of course he wins the heart of the local chieftain's daughter / tribal princess. It's all very sweet, very cute. She gives him a kiss on the end. They learn from each other's cultures. It's like I said, it is a very age-appropriate, carefully toned down version of this episode. The writers do manage to perfectly balance a realistic level of tribal violence with what you can safely show on a PG show for kids. The tribes aren't showed to really hate each other. It's just one tribe has control of this resource and one tribe has control of that resources, and they steal the resources back and forth. If you've ever done any historical research into how these raiding parties worked in real life, I think the show did a good job portraying that fairly realistically. They steal our herd animals, we burn their granary when we go to steal our herd animals back. They also established early on, and I think this is just a really good encapsulation of how well this show is written. There's a certain attention to detail where things don't just jump out of the blue at you. When the tribes people are first talking with the children, they say, and the children ask them about star maps, the tribes will say, we don't have much to do with off-worlders except for trading our hides for munitions. And that's just a passing line that in the moment just disappoints the kids because these people don't have the maps they want, but comes back later because it establishes that these individual tribes generally try to maintain positive relationships with off-world traders. Basically, if you land on their planet with a ship, they're going to want to trade with you. And this ties back to that just shoot me now moment that Jod had, because Jod has completely forgotten that they're on a probably hostile planet. He's trying to coax information on the treasure of At-Atan out of SM-33, and SM-33 keeps talking about warriors and the warriors that they avoided when they were here last time, while Jod is dragging him down the ramp of the ship. And then suddenly the fog clears, and Jod sees that they are surrounded by warriors, and he's got 100 guns pointed at him, and someone demands to know what flag he flies. And he just drops down to his knees and goes, just shoot me now. And that's the last we see of Jod for most of the episode. And all we know is that he has been captured at his ship by a tribe that is currently in conflict with the tribe that the kids have been brought into. However, because both of these tribes has the same logical motivations to maintain positive interactions with off-worlders, i.e. you don't want to kill the people who are trading with you, when Jod actually shows up and manages to kind of save the day, because he, being an adult, managed to figure out a peaceful trade negotiation with the tribe who caught him, it makes sense. He bought back the herd. He found out where the kids were. He bought back the herd that the other tribe had stolen, gave it back to the tribe that had the kids, essentially hostage, and then he was able to resolve the situation, get them back to the ship. There are clear causes and effects, scenes and sequences to those scenes, so that the story flows naturally. And this may seem like a small thing, but it's vitally important to writing. If they had not set up A, that these tribes people were traders, B, Jod was an experienced pirate and therefore an experienced trader if he wanted to offload his booty, and C, that Jod had access to resources to trade for the herd, then none of this would have made nearly as much sense. This is just a good, solid example of episodic writing. There is another connection here, though, that I've been noticing. I just want to tack this on at the end. The style of clothing that they're having Jod wear is very classically piratical. And given the actor's height and current hairstyle and that current sort of scruffy pirate look he has going, he looks very similar to the actor who played Captain Flint in the pirate show Black Sails. Said Black Sails actor was also the father in the recent 2018 Netflix Lost in Space, which has him shepherding a group of children through space. Over the past 2 episodes, the series has been really emphasizing the visual similarity between Jod and the actor who played both Captain Flint and John Robinson from Lost in Space. Toby Stevens is that actor's name, I believe. But anyway, one of the most famous quotes from the pirate show Black Sails comes from Captain Flint, played by Toby Stevens. Captain Flint here is talking about the psychology of when is the best time to raise the black and skull pirate flag. He says, raise the black too soon and the prize will run. Raise it too late and you'll induce panic and a greater chance of resistance. You got to show your colors at just the right moment to get them to strike theirs. So in this series, in Skeleton Crew, when the tribesmen on the planet ask Jod, what flag do you fly? In the context of the show, it makes perfect sense, but in the context of this deliberate parallel that I do believe the costumers have been working on between Jod and Captain Flint, 2018's John Robinson, it also means that, well, a pirate captain flies the black flag, whatever that might stand for in this current situation. There may be no connection there, but I think there was. But this is Betty Adams overanalyzes. I overanalyze things. I see patterns where there aren't. So what do you think, my wonderful viewers? When the tribesmen had their guns on this mysterious pirate Jod, was that a reference to the actor Toby Stevens, who played both Captain Flint and John Robinson in Lost in Space? Tell me what you think in the comments below. Hit that like and subscribe button, and peace out, my wonderful viewers. Step into a world of science and of story, of laughter and of tears. Betty Adams has crafted entire worlds of science fiction and science fantasy adventure in her Humans Are Weird series and in her Dying Embers series. Be prepared to laugh, cry, and become absorbed. Check out her books at the links below the video.